The trumpet and horn sounds seemed to disappear from reports in later 2012 through most of 2013. But that's when so many loud and unexplained mysterious booms were heard and reported to police, fire, and Homeland Security around the United States and parts of Canada. But in December 2013, I received more trumpet horn reports from down-to-earth professional people in Milton, Vermont, and Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Milton is 2,300 miles east of Calgary, but the two couples in two different places heard very similar horn sounds that scared them. On December 23rd, Denise and Dana McKenna were very disturbed by the sound of horns around 2:15 a.m. that seemed to be coming from the clear, dark night sky. But neither of them could see the source of the strange trumpet horn sounds. Here first is 48-year-old Denise McKenna, a professional massage therapist who describes how it all began.
I have been living in my home for 12 years in Milton, Vermont, and I have never heard any sounds like I heard on December 23rd. It was around 2:10, 2:15 in the morning. I got up to get some water, came back to bed, and I heard like a trumpet horn sound. And so I walked to my window and looked out because it sounded like it was coming from the sky. Looked up to see if I could see anything and didn't notice anything. Then I heard again another sound like that, and I just kept looking in the sky because it sounded like it was coming from the sky. And it didn't sound like anything that you would hear. It was so different, you know. I didn't understand where it was coming from.
Can you try to characterize it in detail?
Well, the funny thing is, in the summertime, my husband Dana had been showing me videos of what has occurred around the world, and I said, I got to wake him up so that he can verify this, and he heard the third horn, and he goes, yeah, it does sound like what we were watching.
The YouTube video that Denise and her husband Dana picked out as closest to what they both heard around 2:15 a.m. on December 23rd, 2013, was from a Switzerland user the year before. He wrote on January 19th, 2012, at 7:40 a.m., quote, I just heard a low humming booming sound, like a constant jet engine, coming and going from low pitch to high pitch in phases of 10 minutes, close quote. Here is an excerpt from that Switzerland audio.
It sounded like someone blowing into a soda bottle, like it made that ooh, but it had different tones to it. It's kind of creepy, actually, to me, almost like a warning or something. I can't even explain it. 5 minutes went by, and then it came back again, and I jumped up. I go, oh, wow. And I think it was like around 2:45 in the morning. So there was probably a good half hour of we were just like, what's going on?
Any impression that whatever it was coming from above you?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely from the sky, yep. And so then we went to the front of the house to see if anybody was waking up, if they would turn their lights, like, okay, is anybody else hearing this? Or to hear if a dog was barking inside the house, or, you know, usually we can hear the neighbor's dogs bark if they're upset, but we didn't hear anything.
Have you talked with any of your neighbors since December 23rd to see if anyone was waked up by the same sound?
I haven't tried that, but I should.
What are you doing that leads up to hearing the boom?
Okay, that was not until the next night, and that was around 3:30 in the morning. And I happened to wake up right before it happened. I don't know why, but I did. Went to the bathroom, came back, and Dana stirred. Then we were just in bed, and we hear, it seemed like to me it was coming from the corner of our house, but Dana thought it was in the house. It was like this very loud, like an explosion almost. After that boom, the house shook a little bit. That was kind of strange. It shook, like there was vibration coming off from it. Why would it have a vibration to it, too? I don't know.
Did you or Dana or both of you get up?
We sat up after that, and I said, I'm going to go run to the corner of the house where I think it happened to see if I could see anything. And then Dana freaked out, and he ran downstairs. He said, I wonder if someone, tried to break into the house, kicked the door down.
So that would be like 25 hours after the original strange trumpet sound.
Yeah. It was the 25th. It was Christmas. And then Dana checked out Channel 3, which is our local news, their Facebook page to see if anybody heard any booming sounds or trumpets. And there were some comments that people were asking, what was that boom sound? So other people were experiencing it.
Denise's husband, Dana McKenna, is 51 years old and works as a toner technician in a laser printer company in Milton, Vermont.
I've never heard that sound around here before. It was a trumpet sound would be the most accurate description of what I heard. It became louder. It was really an eerie, creepy. It doesn't sound natural to me at all.
Did you have any impression about where it was coming from, above you, to the side, below, or where?
Oh, I would say definitely it was coming from the sky. It was more of a spread out horn, airborne, or atmosphere type of sound.
Mm-hmm.
It was distant, and then it just gradually got louder.
As it got louder, did you have the sense that something was approaching your house?
It's possible, because the first 2 or 3 sounds, it was the same distance. Then the third or fourth time I heard it, it sounded like it was much closer.
Were you standing at that point?
Yeah. I stood up. I walked around because I wanted to make sure I was wide awake to hear this.
Did you go to a window to look out?
Yes. And at that time of the morning, it's black. I mean, there's nothing. It was a sense that it was coming from the northeast.
At any point, did you think, I'm going to go downstairs and go outside?
No.
Because?
Actually, I was really unnerved, I think. I didn't really want to leave the house. It was such a creepy sound. I didn't know if there was something going on outside, and I really didn't want to even go outside. I don't know. I just felt really creeped out by this sound.
When you and Denise both say this was a creepy, haunting sound,
yes.
Do you have any images that have come into your mind's eye when you think about the sound?
To me, when I heard it, it was almost sorrowful.
Sad and sorrowful.
Exactly, yes. Sad, like something is happening that shouldn't be happening, or it's really not pleasant wherever it was.
But you're thinking that you felt sadness as opposed to angry violence.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sadness.
Have you thought about why you haven't heard from any of your neighbors about also hearing this sound?
Nobody seemed to hear this. I didn't see any lights come on inside or outside, and we haven't talked to anybody.
Another strange aspect of this phenomena is the tight focus. I have interviewed so many people who have been in a house. They have thought that something fell on the roof, or they have felt it shake, and they are expecting to hear sirens. They're expecting to see their neighbors coming out.
Yes, we went downstairs, we opened the door up, and I'm waiting for some kind of confirmation from our neighbors. I can see clearly maybe 7 or 8 of the houses on our street. We're at the very end of the street, so I can see everybody clearly. And I'm waiting for some kind of confirmation from these other people, for lights to come on, exterior lights, and the 3 families here are military. Nobody's reacting to this sound we're hearing. The dogs aren't barking. There's nothing happening. I couldn't believe it. Something that shakes a house, and it sounded like just a satchel charge of explosives in our house or just next to it. And I thought that something really bad was happening. I mean, it was terrible. It shook the house.
About a month after Denise and Dana were upset by the horn, trumpet, and boom sounds at their house in Milton, Vermont, 2,000 miles west in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 51-year-old Monica Andre and her husband Scott were also scared by another horn trumpet sound that erupted around their apartment at 2:22 a.m. on Thursday, January 9th. Monica, a nutritional therapist, was born in the Czech Republic, but moved to Canada 30 years ago and has lived with her husband in the same Calgary apartment for the past 12 years. So they are both very familiar with the sounds in that environment. Monica contacted me because of my earth files and radio reports about booms and strange sounds around the world. She hoped that I might be able to explain what happened to them. Monica was willing to talk with me on the record about their experience, but said her husband was so troubled by the horn trumpet sound that he does not want to talk to anyone about it. So here is Monica alone now to describe what happened at their Calgary apartment at 2:22 a.m. on their clock, January 9th, 2014.
I opened up the balcony and I thought, oh, it's good to get some fresh air. And I thought I heard a large jet, and I thought, oh, wow, those jets are sure getting closer and closer. And I thought, jets don't have horns. This is very, very peculiar sound. But at 2:22, they became so loud that I thought, well, should I close the balcony or should I see what's out there? And Scott, he was in the room with me, and he was going to check up on the cat, and he came out to the living room. Wow, that's really weird. And he goes, what is that? And he was so freaked out, he wouldn't go out. And on the 4th floor, it was very, very loud sounds of scraping metal, tornadoes approaching, large trains hitting head-on. And even though I have a cover above the balcony, I was still afraid. I had to run inside because I didn't really know if something was going to fall out of the sky or not, because when you hear metal like that, you think, well, where's that coming from? And it seemed to fill the air everywhere. And I was so scared. I ran inside, closed the window and the blinds, and then I thought, maybe I'm being foolish. Maybe I should go back out there and record this with my phone. And Scott said, no, you're not going out there. There's no way. And he says, I want nothing to do with that thing. And I says, what do you think it is? And he says, I don't know, but there is something out there, and I don't want any part of it.
Did you feel the same, that it was an unknown sound, but that it was threatening?
It was that it permeated me. It was like it went through my bones, and it was loud. It was definitely unknown. This sound was really, really loud, and it was like the sounds that you've heard other people with that video from the Ukraine. It sounded exactly like that. But when you are outside and you're hearing it for yourself, it sounds much louder than even turning up the volume on the Ukraine video. And it was like the sound of a tornado that is approaching, and it's a mixture of horns and trumpets. They have a very strange sound, but you can definitely tell they're horns and trumpets. And there's heavy metal pounding and the metal scraping, and it sounds like large trains that are going to hit head-on. They sound like they're trying to stop before they hit head-on, and then they hit on, and you can hear all the impending doom of metal. The reason why it's scary is because you don't know if something's going to fall on you.
You would think that people would be running out of the apartments en masse.
Because it went on for quite a while. I would say that this went on for a good 15 minutes. Even though I shut the windows, you could still hear it. And what happened is that when it was just about dawn, it started up again. And there's two guys going to work. They were in the parking lot right underneath where the door is coming in and out of the building. They said, what the is that? I was watching them through the window. You could hear them. They were so loud. These guys were really surprised about what they were hearing. That was around 5 o'clock. I was so stunned. The strangeness of it was how loud the horns are. The horns and trumpets, like somebody's learning how to play the trumpet and they don't know how. That's what it sounds like.
Right.
And it's mixed in with the metallics and the tornado. It's scary.
Isn't it odd to you and your husband that living in an apartment complex that you have not had a lot of people that were coming out of doors and saying, "What is this?"
We were so scared we didn't even look because this was not a sound that was far off. It was right there. I remember being on the balcony at 2:22, and I remember looking at the sky and being afraid to, but I did look. For some reason, I was terrified of looking up there. And I don't know if anybody else has had that feeling, but it's not very friendly.
What do you think intuitively you were afraid of seeing in the sky?
Probably entities. I know there's something up there because nothing can make that sound. Something is up there, and we may not understand it. Nobody on earth might understand that something is up there making that sound. We need to pay attention because this might be a warning of bigger things to come.